welcome back to the Professor Podcast. My name's Tyler, and today you join me not in Arbroath, but in sunny Gloucester in the deep south of England. And I'm here with founder of WUMA, Grandmaster Richard Deadly Hopkins. So, hello.
Hello.
How are you today?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. So, how did you first? Well, how were you introduced to martial arts firstly? So.
As a kid, really.
Yeah.
Boxing first. I was a boxer, and in 1972, there was a Bruce Lee films came out,
Yeah.
and we all went on their motorbikes to. I was a house angel at the time. Yeah, I was 17, 18, and went to watch them, and I switched straight away from boxing to martial arts. It was hard to find any clubs around then, but after Enter the Dragon came out, martial arts clubs sprang up all over Britain.
Yeah.
It was hard to find good ones, obviously, but yeah. And then 1976, I opened my own club, and 1978, I joined. 77, I joined Laogar. And the rest is history, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came from the 70s.
Yeah.
And Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee. I think a lot of people can say that, from back then. It erupted massively. I remember in Birmingham, there was 2-mile queues to join clubs.
Yeah.
In Birmingham. It's amazing. You never seen queues like it.
Yeah.
It was just to join the martial arts club, because they become all famous overnight.
Yeah.
All because of Bruce Lee. After Bruce Lee film, we went outside as House Angels, and we all had a little play fight.
Yeah.
And the the riot vans turned up, and we all stopped fighting and started laughing. And the officers couldn't believe it, because they'd been told there's a mass fight in Evesham, and sent riot vans from all the different towns like Stratford-on-Avon and places.
Yeah.
And it was because we'd all
Bruce Lee thing.
Yeah. Basically, there's about 50 of us outside the cinema, actually kicking and punching and having play fights. And in the end, the officers laughed and said, "Oh my God, you can all go home now," and all that. And yeah, it's a memory that I'll never forget, because it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The vans were just rolling up from everywhere to take us away. But we hadn't done something wrong. We were play fighting in the street, and it was the main street, so everybody thought it was a real fight. And it did stop cars, but we didn't care. But yeah, so that's how we started.
Yeah.
And I started with one club in Morton in the Marsh, and it just grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
And only a few months ago we had a count up in the UK.
Yeah.
That's England, Scotland, and Wales actually.
Yeah.
And there's a few in Ireland. Over 1,200 clubs that we look after, and we've expanded into 67 countries.
Yeah.
Over the years. Yeah. So, never believed it would ever end up like that. Never believed it would. I didn't even think about it. Just each year it grew and grew.
Well, what was the first country abroad that it's expanded to, or that you went to because of martial arts?
I used to go around fighting abroad, like in the US Open and the German Open and things like that. A lot of us did. So we ended up with a lot of friends around the world. So in 1989 I decided to leave the British Kung Fu Association, which I was teaching for, and open their own. Me, Kevin Brewer, Turn Alvin, Mighty, and everybody, we all opened. We called it United Martial Arts. Only for 2 years, and then we switched the name to World, because we ended up with 17 countries with us. And since then, nearly every year we end up with more countries joining us. When we have our Worlds, we don't have 67 countries coming along, because a lot of the countries can't afford it. They got no access to the money for it. but they have joined WUMA and they do get great, grading license stuff and all that. But yeah, it's been a long old hog, but it's gone well. It's gone really, really successful. We have some great events as well around the world. I started taking a squad abroad. I think it was 1998, our first one. That was to Switzerland.
Yeah.
And then in the year 2000, we had our first foreign WUMA World Championships was in Sicily.
Yeah.
And I took 200 fighters there. And every 2 years after, we took 200 fighters. First it was Germany, and then Germany, Malta, Greece. It just went on and on, like, so it ended up going around the world and had some great times with 200 members, lots and lots of success. Learnt a lot myself, and now I've ended up big boss of WUMA and one of the biggest organisations in the UK, really.
Yeah.
If not the biggest. Nobody knows really who the biggest is. Everybody pretends they are.
Yeah.
But we've got 1,200 clubs. That's all I can say. So I personally think we're the biggest, but you don't really know.
Yeah.
Of course. Because if you ask people, how many they've got, they double their numbers first.
Yeah.
But we sell about 25,000 licenses a year, and and it goes really well. I used to run it from a full-time centre, but I retired 10 years ago from teaching full-time.
Yeah.
I had 3 full-time centres. The first one was in 1982, and I've loved all that. And then I stopped teaching really, so I could run WUMA properly. So that's why I did it, because I did love teaching. A couple of months after I stopped teaching, I was thinking, have I made a mistake? Because I missed it so much. You think for like all them years, every night you meet like 100 people to up.
Yeah.
And then it was such a different life when I stopped doing it. And but now I'm used to it. I love it. I still teach.
Yeah.
I still teach private lessons, but not very many. I don't really want to teach many. And I do the black belt gradings. So we do a 2-day course, each black belt grading, and we get people from all over the country to actually come and grade. Yeah. Usually about between 30 and 40. And during the lockdown, we did one where it was only 9, I think. But the very next one was 42.
Yeah.
So I done 9 with their masks on. It was a bit hard with the masks on for 2 days, but they were on and off, it was hard to do. And then as soon as we were allowed to open at the clubs and not wear the masks, the next black belt grading was 42 people, absolutely jammed. But we had a great time. But I've always made my gradings really, really hard, so as people can appreciate them. When they get their black belt, they can go home and know they, nearly died for their black belt, sort of thing. And that's the way I believe, to go along. And people say, yeah, but don't you think it's too much? And I said, hang on, kickboxing is supposed to be one of the hardest sports in the world. So it's no good giving it them easy. Yeah. You hear 3-hour gradings where people's only done 3 katas, and that's it. So at least with our lot, they do appreciate what they've done for those gradings. A lot of people say they copy my gradings, but they don't. Then you hear of them doing a 6-hour grading, they think they've copied my grading. They haven't. They've done a bit of it.
Yeah, it's 2 days long, so yeah.
I had a message once, somebody had to pull out on the second day of my grading. Yeah. Then he went to the Shaolin Temple to train. He sent me a message. He said, Dicker, I think this is harder than your black belt gradings. And I said, oh, I put, how long you been there? He was on Facebook. Yeah. Even though he was in the Shaolin Temple, he was on Facebook to me. He said, oh, I've been here, I said, my 4th day. I said, well, you didn't last 2 days in my black belt raiding, so how'd you work that out? yeah, I get you. But yeah, tried to tell me it was harder, and then, mind you, it is, because you go up hundreds of steps, you know, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Where is it?
In Honan, in Honan province in China.
Oh, yeah.
The Shaolin Temple.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a few hundred steps you go up to pray in the mornings and stuff. And they only have rice for breakfast.
Yeah.
They have rice and 1 veg for dinner, and for tea they have rice and 2 veg, and no meat or nothing like that.
No.
Only the drink is only hot water or cold water.
Yeah.
That's all they drink. Because I've had Shaolin monks here to teach my group. I actually paid for them to come here, and sat down with them and learned all about their lives. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoyed having them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there ain't a lot I haven't done. So I've been all around the world competing, and then I took teams all around the world competing.
Yeah.
So I've been a referee for probably 40 years as well. You know, so most weekends, like there was years and years and years where I didn't go anywhere else at weekends but martial arts. I felt a bit guilty sometimes because I had family dues on, but I just couldn't go. You know, now I look back at it and I think, you know, sometimes I should have went on family dues, but I do now.
Yeah.
I do every time we have a family do. I absolutely love it. You know, as long as you're still there.
Yeah.
It's alright, we got a noise somewhere. Kick the bag.
Oh.
It worked. I'm a magician as well. Yeah, so any more questions?
Yeah, well, it was you know how you were talking about before in Birmingham, and it was like, was it the 70s? You were saying there was loads of queues.
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
into martial arts.
They reckon the queue for the it's called Temple Passage, and for the Laogar, it was £12 to join.
Yeah.
And they reckon there was a queue for 2 miles, and it was in the papers.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just about to.
That is incredible.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to ask, how do you think martial arts has changed from then till now? Is it a lot more popular now, or was it more?
Yeah,
popular
there's
then?
a lot more martial arts.
Yeah.
They've evaporated into different names.
Yeah.
And things, and a lot of people teach kickboxing, but kickboxing truly should be full contact.
Yeah.
But in Britain, if you say you do kickboxing, 90% are touch contact fighters, really, but they still call it kickboxing. I do it as well. You know, I've always had full contact fighters when I taught, but it was like 3 out of hundreds.
Yeah.
You know, I got up to about 7 at one time. You can't say that all your people are going to do full contact. It's impossible. You know, out of people going to a boxing club, you're only going to get a small percentage that will actually enter the ring. But with points fighting and continuous light contact, you can get a lot more people entering the ring. Like the way we do it with head guards and everything and touch. You can get little kids entering it and have no harm done to them.
Yeah.
You know, we hardly ever have had to send anybody to the hospital. A couple of times in about 40 years, I think it is. Really. Probably a couple of times. You know, we've got a lot of broken noses and things like that.
Of course, yeah.
But it's done really well. And now MMA's here, it's gone massive. Martial arts again has been looked at in a different way again. But I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Everyone to their own, isn't it?
Yeah.
But personally, I don't go to MMA shows, but I do watch it on the TV now. Fair play to the organisers and stuff. It is a hard thing to set up. It's hard work, but yeah, it's all changed, isn't it? Again, it's all changed again. Yeah. Yeah. What you got for me?
Yeah. Well, what was it like when you first sort of travelled abroad?
What, the fighting, you mean?
Yeah. Well, fighting and basically just seeing the place as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice starting to travel around the world and to take my team.
Yeah, really good experience.
Yeah,
as well,
I used to still do. I used to write a set of rules for the team.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want any troublemakers. Didn't want anybody causing any trouble with the referees.
Yeah.
So they were told in writing that they couldn't challenge a referee. Only the coach could. And if anybody needed to be stuck up for, it would be us.
Of course.
You know, and that's how it went. Like, you know. There was one time I remember, because we always used to have trouble with the Italians. There was always a fallout, and this one time, one of my fighters got knocked out.
Yeah.
And the Italians, there was about 10 Italians laughing when he was on the floor knocked out, going, yeah, you know. Now, I had a fighter from Gloucester called Carl Swaby, amazing fighter, and this lad who knocked him out had Carl next. And even when the lad was being carried out on a stretcher, they were laughing still. And it was like so disgraceful. Yeah. So I got all my team together and I said, okay, when Carl's called out now, I want you to get everyone out of the seats. I want every one of you to make a big circle around the Italians. He said, why? I said, because every time I laugh, I want you lot to laugh with me. Yeah. Because Carl's going to drop him. And I thought, I'm not normally like this. You know, you got to do what you got to do, innit? So the Italians like always think they're the best, but laughing when you've knocked somebody out, when it ain't even allowed in the rules. Yeah. I thought that's just too much. So I got 200 people in a circle around them, and they're like, what's going on? Then the fight started, and Carl banged them. I said to Carl, you've already won the world title earlier. You don't need one now. Yeah. Every time I tell you, drop him. And Carl was an amazing fighter. Yeah. Straight away, side kick, and dropped him. And I went, ha 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 ha! I had 200 people in a circle, clapping their hands and laughing. The Italian old boy comes on the mat. He went, Mr. Hopkins, this is disgusting. What disgusting behaviour? And I said, well, hang on everyone, stop. I went, have you forgot 5 minutes ago when you Italians were laughing at their friend knocked out? Yeah, don't you like medicine back? Just get over there, Gino. So over he goes. I went to Carl. I want that again, right now. He said, shall I tickle about with him first? I went, no, just drop him straight away. And he's straight over, drops him. A side kick into the belly again. Yeah. Drops him down again. I went, go on, yes, go. And he carried on and on. And I went, oh, you can play with him now. So of course Carl's doing head kicks and all that. Yeah. This lad just didn't stand a chance against him. After, the Italians, about 5 of them got round me and goes, that was out of order. Yeah. I said, right, so it weren't out of order when you lot did it to our lad and all laughed at him, but it was out of order when we did it back to you. Yeah? You sure? And they're like, they couldn't get there, they were in the wrong. Yeah. You know, and we've had incidents like that, you know, for years. Second time I remember, it happened a few times around the world, but when we were in Geneva about 4 or 5 years ago, we noticed there was, in the hotel, there was some massive guys walking past us with grey tracksuits on, and we found out that they were Leicester Tigers rugby club, and we got pally with them. Yeah. And they all sat down and had a meal with us and that, and there was quite a few, there's about 30 of them, and they were playing Geneva on this Friday night. On the Saturday and the Sunday, at the hotel round the back, in this big dome, we had Air Worlds. So they said we could probably get you some tickets to watch our match, because we were allowed so many. He said, how many of you are there? I said, well, there's about 200 of us, but there's about 100 that I reckon would go. And then the one who organised it, Carl, he said, well, I could get the buses sorted. So they went and got us 100 tickets, and it did work out about that. We ended up with 120 because there was 20 more than wanted to go. So we went and had a free night out with the Leicester Tigers to watch them play. They got beat. Hell of a night, you know. And then the next day, the Leicester Tigers come and watch their event.
Yeah.
And Saturday and Sunday. Now the first event was full contact, and the first fight was one of their under 60s fighting one of their same under 60s, and the Leicester Tigers were all around me, and they goes, "Rich, we've been doing a bit of betting. Who's gonna win this?" I said, "Well, our lads just won three world titles this year." I said, "So I can't see him losing." He went, "Yeah, we bet on him then." Anyway, they're all round me, and halfway through the fight, the Italian got dropped, and for some reason the referee stopped it, and the Italians come after me because I'm the boss of rumour. They're going, "Oh, that's not fair. You should never start." I said, I didn't stop it. It's a bloody bet." I turned round for my 5 sons that always backed me up, and they couldn't get through. Leicester Tigers were all around me, and one of the bosses on the Leicester Tigers, he looked down, he's about 6'6", and he went, "What's the matter with them, Rich? We're back here." And I go, "Oh, it's all right, I saw it. And I got pictures of people taking the picture. There's them lot there, and the Leicester Tigers behind me. Oh, so funny. Never had such backup so good in my life. These guys are massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It turns out that one of them lived on this estate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and moved to Leicester because he got sent there.
Yeah.
To play. Yeah, and he said, "Where do you live in Gloucester then, Rich?" And I told him. He said, I got a house on that estate." Are you joking? He said, "I live in Leicester now, but I've kept my house."
Yeah.
Yeah, he lived there.
Yeah.
So we had great fun with them. And there's just certain times of your career where you come home and you thought, "Well, what happened there?" Yeah.
Yeah.
The same fighter, Carl Swaby. We had him in the US Open, and he was fighting continuous, and he must have done in 2 or 3? I think it was 3 rounds, only 1.5 minutes a round. That's continuous. He must have got the other lad head kicks. Must have done 100 head kicks. Absolutely slaughtered the other person. I mean, it was a whitewash. You know, all 3 refs gave it the American. So I went, whoa! I said, "What the hell happened there?" And they come over and they said, "Hitting too hard. We don't score them if they hit too hard." I went, whoa. I said, "He's come thousands of miles. He's been sponsored by people in his town." I said, "And he's just been ripped off so bad. It's unbelievable. You do realise we got videos of this, don't you?" And I said, "Hey mate, can you come here a minute?" This is the lad who he been fight. I said, "Can you take your head guard off?" He takes his head guard off. I said, "Could you show me all the marks where you've been hit?" There wasn't one red mark. So I says to the referees, I said, "If I slapped him now, just a little slap, would it leave a red mark?" And they went, "Probably, yeah." I said, "So can you see any red mark on his head, on his face, anywhere?" They said, "No." I said, "Well, he did about 50 to 100 kicks. If he actually wanted to hurt him, he would have. But he didn't. He touched his head guard, and there's proof." We saw lots of heavy blows go in, and that's what we're, I said, "Well, that's fair enough," I said, "but just remember, we come from all halfway around the world, and other people are going to come in the future, but they're not if they're going to see videos like I'm going to show them." I said, "Because this is disgusting, and no one should be treated like this. Anybody watching this fight would there's nobody on earth who wouldn't give my man's side, and you have to admit that." And they said, "That's their choice. It's not our choice." And we had to let it go. There was nothing we could do. And you get these things around the world. You get them in boxing, don't you? You get them in boxing where it happens. The whole world can see who really won, and then they go and give it the other side. And they hang on. What referee did that? Because he can't have been watching the fight. Yeah. So no matter what type of fighting it is or what kind of sport it is, there are people that will rip you off blatantly as well. So I just did my job. I just made sure that they knew there was no reason to do that to him. But yeah, you do have fighters that come through who are amazing. There are people. My son Tommy, who I just lost, he's 35, and he could do spinning hook kicks the same speed both ways with both legs. Most people can't do that. It's being ambidextrous. And he won the US Open with loads and hundreds of spinning kicks. And you get people that just in the world, don't you, that there's so much, like Steve Babs. Steve Babs absolutely mastered full contact. He died about 5 years ago. He was a good friend, and he was like the first champion full contact fighter in Britain in '76. And I'll never forget travelling around the country watching him fight. Never seen nothing. The control he had on his legs. He would knock people out with any kick he wanted, and to watch him was amazing. It was so graceful and so. And then he'd come on the door with us, and he weren't mouthy or anything like that, and he could control 40 people just by talking, and you know, and he was amazing. You got all these amazing people. That's it. Pass it to you.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about America there. I was about to say, would you say that kickboxing is different, or like martial arts is different in America compared to than it is in Europe? So based on like how big it is, and yeah, just that. Yeah.
I would say they've always been ahead of us.
Yeah.
And most of Europe, including us, have pinched all their ideas.
Yeah, well, they're ahead of us in most things.
Yeah, yeah. When I was being brought up, I didn't like Americans. They always used to say, "We got this at home. We got this. It's bigger than yours at home." And then I went to America, and I realised whatever they said, it was true.
Yeah, it was real.
And I fell in love with America, and I fell in love with Americans. I really did. And me and Simone ran out of money. We were on honeymoon, and one of the American families from the karate who sparred with Simone said, "Oh, just come and stay at our house. Come and live at our house till you got to go back, and you wouldn't have to pay nothing out." And we trained at her club, and we become best friends. And for probably 20 years, we went there every year to visit and stay there. And yeah, we brought up with their family, you know. And yeah, I fell in love with Americans and American way, and I even bought some land in America, in near Disney. It's only about 10 miles from Disney.
Yeah, so
I've never built a house on it. Yeah, I bought it planning to retire there, but I've changed my mind. I don't want to retire there now. I still own it. Yeah, I've never done nothing with it. It's just lent there. But I should have put a house on it, really, because back then it was only 20 grand to put a house on it, and because what they do is they put the ground down, and then they just bring it on a truck.
Yeah.
Because they're not brick houses.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And they drop 4 sides down, join them up, put the roof on, bang, and you stand your way, and put the inside. They can do it in a day sometimes. Yeah, so we should have done it.
Yeah.
I've been an idiot not to. I kept thinking, should I this year? Should I this year? And I never. It was about 1990 that I bought the land, and it had permission for a house as well.
Yeah. Have you visited it since, or?
No. I visited America. I visited the land because our friends lived just down the road from it.
Yeah.
It was him who said, "Oh, buy a plot." So I did. In fact, I put it in Ricky's name, so Ricky owns it. He was only 3 or 4. But yeah, look, it's there. If any of the boys need it, even after I'm gone, it's there, isn't it? They can go and put a house on it if they want. But we went to Florida so many times. We were going 3 times a year in the end, and they were brought up at Disney World, you know. So only Sunday we had a little party here. I got them all together, my family all together, because there's 11 people in my family with birthdays in July.
Wow.
11 people. So I said to them all, right, why don't everyone save and we all go back to Florida in 2025? And that's what we've agreed to do, because they'll all have a chance to save properly then, won't they? Everybody earns different to others, don't they? So we're all going to save, and all of us go, probably 30 of us, and visit Florida again.
Good idea.
Yeah. So I've been there for 10 years. I used to go every year, 2 or 3 times a year. And so much has changed out there, and better rides and everything. It's yeah. Over to you.
You mentioned earlier that you did bodyguarding. Can you tell me a bit about
Yeah, from when I was 18, I was asked to be on the door at my local football club, believe it or not. There was no other. It turned into a nightclub.
Yeah.
On a Friday and Saturday, it used to be a nightclub, so it was the only place you could go in, because I was in a little village, and all we had was villages, no town. The closest town was Cheltenham or Evesham.
Yeah.
There was only one bus a week to the towns, and so that's all we had, is go to that village and to Morton in the Marsh. And yeah, there was lots of fights there when I was 16 in the under 18s, and when I was 18 they asked me to go on the door. So yeah, I went on the door, done well on there, and in the end started to go other places. By the time I was 20, 22, I was in Banbury.
Yeah.
It's a big town, and by the time I was about 25, I was doing it all over the place, really, to be honest. With Alvin Mighty and some of the martial arts people, started doing it with them. It just got bigger and bigger. When I moved to Cheltenham, I opened up a security company, and I built it up to renting out 60 men, and had quite a few jobs. And then I joined up with the SAS guys who left SAS, and they'd formed a door group and a bodyguard group. This was 1989.
Yeah.
And got real pally with them, and ended up being partnership with them. So we I'd done so much door work, just all over the country. Some bad places, like we went to Cardiff once and had so much trouble there with guns and everything. Yeah, nearly died, I don't know how many times. I'd say just got better and better at it, with knowledge, and became one of the bosses. So I ended up being boss of the IBU. I started it off. IBU, it means I bodyguard you.
Oh yeah.
But it's International Bodyguard Union, meaning I bodyguard you. So it used to be IBU.
Yeah, that's quite cool, yeah.
Yeah, I invented that. And we started doing courses at my full-time centre, and they built up to 40 people at a time, paying a lot of money at a time. So I had SAS friends, ex-SAS, and we sometimes even had serving blokes from the SAS having like a holiday and coming and teaching for us. So we started getting people all over the world, Russians and all. Just Americans just coming over, 40 at a time, take them up the hills, teach them all sorts of things, all about bombs, all sorts of stuff. And the courses got better and better, all about how to protect yourself and how to defuse bombs. Really important when you're a bodyguard, to be honest, to learn all about guns and bombs. So we had to get people, specialists in to do it. The one time we even had the man who was sent from the SAS to take the Lockerbie bomb and put it back together. You know what I mean, the disaster bomb. And he was sent from the SAS. He come and talked to me once. His name was Mal Perry, and yeah, we built it up to quite a big thing. In fact, in 2002, we went and met people from Metropolitan Police and the government to start off a thing called the SIA. We met them about 3 times. They wanted all our information from our courses. So, like all the restraints, all the management stuff, the written stuff. They promised that we would go around the country teaching instructors. So it came out in 2003, the SIA, and they left us out, and it was our stuff.
Yeah.
It was our syllabus, the booklet they did, 90% of what we'd give them, and yeah, cheeky sods, and they left us out. So for me to actually be an instructor, although we taught it then, I had to go up to London to Westminster University.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I went to pay £1,400, and the man said, "Dicker, what are you doing here?" I said, "Exactly. Apparently, if I want to teach it, I've got to pay." He said, Nah. I said, "You taught me." I said, "I know." He said, "No, I won't charge you." He said, "What I'll do is, have you paid a deposit?" I said, "Yeah, £200. I said, "I have no choice. I got no choice in doing it unless I come here and do that." He said, "Well, that's what they've said." He said, "I'll give you your £200 back as long as you help me this week teach." I went, "Yeah, of course I will." So I ended up going on a course, teaching on it, and getting the stuff. Yeah, it was a weird thing.
Yeah.
So all the others, when it went and had to pay the £1,400, had the bloke gave me the £200 back and said, "Oh, help us teach." I was quite proud of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like through the doors and through the bodyguarding, and then I was doing bodyguard jobs as well. People like Jim Davison, you probably ain't heard of him, but he's a comic. What do you call him? He's called
comedian.
Yeah, stand-up comedian. Been on the telly billions of times. Real awkward sod, because he used to get drunk and then like want to fight us and stuff. You know, he's the idiot. But the funny story about him was on the Sunday morning, one of the Sergeant Major Baker, he said, "Oh, if Jim comes in and chucks you a black bag, it means he wants you to go down and do his washing." I said, "You what?" He said, "Oh, a few hundred yards down there, there's a what do you call it? A wash place.
Yeah.
Where you put the money in."
Yeah.
He said he always gets us to do his washing, and because we're army boys, we all know the crack. Like, I went, "Hey Joe, can you see me doing anyone's washing?" I said, "You can go and get knickered." And oh my God, half an hour later, Jim Davison comes in, half pissed, and he goes, "There you go, boy. If you can go down there, 200 yards, turn left." He said, and the bag of change in there already waiting. He said, "Don't be long." He said, "I've got to go somewhere." I chucked him the bag back, and I said, "Can't remember what I was hired for here. Was it to bodyguard you, or was it to do your washing?" And he went, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You go down there and do me washing, can't you?" I goes, "Okay, fair enough," I said, "but what am I supposed to be doing right now?" I said, "Bodyguarding you. So if I go down there and do your washing, who's bodyguarding you?" He said, "Joe and them." I said, "So who's with you right now? If something happened right now?" He said, "You." I said, "Exactly. And you're sending me away?" I said, "I ain't going anywhere. I come here to bodyguard you, and I ain't going to do nothing." I said, "I ain't doing your flipping housework." And then we had this row, and he got somebody else to do it, because the army boys went and done it. And he come back to me, patted me, he went, "Don't blame you." He went, "Don't blame you." I said, "No way am I going to do his bloody washing. No way." But yeah, we looked after a few famous people,
yeah.
But I didn't do that much of it. I actually run it in the office where I got on work.
Yeah.
So I've closed it down now, but one of the jobs is still going in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And it's one of the families that owns a shipping company, and they're worth, oh my God, they own their own island in Barbados.
Oh.
And they are billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And we still got 11 men on and 11 men off, because they go around the world in their yacht.
Mm.
It's like a 22 million yacht, and we got airmen on the yacht and stuff, and we put them on there. Got to be 20 years now, and they've never had anybody else. So, you know, I'm still involved with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody leaves the SAS, they always ask me, "Is there a job going on the boat?" You know, but yeah. So I hire doorman out no more.
No.
I used to do 60, and I don't do any of that no more. You know, when you get older, you tend to do less. And I'm 68 this year, so I've done less on the martial arts, but I'm running my organisation. You know. But yeah, I've done quite a lot, you know. But billions of fights in on the door and on the body. Not so much on the bodyguarding. You got more chance of having a fight on the door, because people get drunk and they push friends about, they push their girlfriends about, they let their wives inside when they're arguing. You'll be surprised all little reasons why people have a fight against somebody else, like, you know. Some people even start on the doorman, you know. Well, I used to get quite a bit of abuse because I was a bit of a tubby man. About 100 times I've ducked somebody's head down the toilet. All the ones that said, "Oh, we got a fat one tonight looking after us." I'm like, okay, I'm not going to hit him, but I'm going to give him a little duck in the water and see how he behaves, you know. So I used to wait till they go in the toilet, not hit them, just shove their head in the bloody toilet and flush it. And I really did do that. All the cheeky ones. Now, a lot of people will go, "Well, yeah, that's bullying." Is it? Is it not bullying when someone walks past you and goes, "Oh, the doorman's a fat bugger tonight, isn't he?" I class that as bullying, don't you?
Yeah.
And I can't take bullying. So you're not going to bully me. Simple as that. You know. Yeah. So we've had some good times. Yeah. That's it.
Just to finish off with, I would like to ask you if you had any advice for a young person like myself wanting to make his way in life. Yeah.
Biggest advice I can do is control of your money. If you control your savings and control your money, you can have anything you want in life. But young people seem to see something new come out. I've got to have it. I've got to have it. I want. And the best way to do it is to have an account that you can't draw it out of quick. Yeah. And don't matter, even if it's £5 a week, save. Yeah. If you don't save, you've never got backup money, and it tends to everything gets spent on a new hat and a new bloody suit and a new. Every week something comes out, so these youngsters have to have it. These games, every time a new one comes out, why do you think it's 200 quid? Because everybody wants it. Yeah. You know, it's all I want. Whereas really, if you're more careful with your money, you'd have everything. Yeah. You know, you'd have everything to buy a house. One of my sons has just bought a house. Cost him. He found one cheap, and he paid it off in 5 years. 5 years, wow. Richard has. Yeah. 5 years. Yeah, he sat down, he worked out how much. He said in 25 years I'd have paid him back all this money. Yeah. He said I worked out if I doubled the mortgage in 5 years I'd have it paid. This year, only 3 months ago, he paid his last payment, and he's now got, after 5 years, his own house. Amazing. Yeah. And if you think like that rather than like the norm, I'll pay it over 25 years because it won't cost so much. But if you work out how much you're paying those people for lending that money, you know, I think that's the way to be. Money controls everything. In truth, you can't go and eat anywhere not without money. Yeah. You can't get no shoes. You can't go and even have a bloody wash without money unless you go to a bloody brook. So yeah, biggest one is control of your money. Definitely. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. I've been watching yours. You're getting better and better. Well done. Well done. Right, well, thank you. Okay. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And thank you. Bye.